All right, hi everyone, welcome back. This is going to be let's move this out of the way. Perfect. This one's going to be another short assignment video, and it's mainly just going to be going over the informative presentation and how that is going to work. I kind of involved some of this in the chapter 11 and 14 lecture as well, just so that you guys would start thinking about it as you are going through the lectures. So we're going to start off with the overview. So this assignment is meant for you to present something that's interesting to you, like I kind of mentioned in the last video. It's not the funnest to have to do a project on something that you don't like. And since this is an opportunity for you all to basically choose whatever you want in the grand scope of things, as long as it would not hurt or trigger anyone, you know, this is an opportunity to be able to do an assignment that you can actually be invested in. And so, like it says, presenting something interesting for you will make this project a lot easier. The time is going to be 5 to 7 minutes. Please stay within that window. If you go outside of it, I have to start deducting points, and that's 1 point for every 30 seconds. And so I would just highly recommend practicing, recording yourself, and making sure you keep hitting within that 5 to 7 minutes. And typically, if you have the proper amount in your outline, you will hit within this margin no matter what. And so, like I mentioned, there in the 11 and 14 chapter lecture, there are 3 different ways that you can organize your speech. So there's topically, by different topics, chronologically with time, spatially, and like I mentioned in the guidebook, there's an example for each one to get a better look at what those mean, or you can refer back to the 11 and 14 lecture where I go over this. There will be 3 main points within the body, and there will be 3 credible sources per point. And it has to be extemporaneous, and that there should be appropriate nonverbals and presentation style. Obviously, that will kind of look differently since we're online. And I also, as you guys know, I do a lot of research and studies focused on marginalization, and I kind of hold the perspective that the stereotypical way of presenting is not, it does not take into account for people who have, you know, atypical neurological styles or anything like that. So I kind of hold those differently. Basically, as long as you are kind of like putting in the effort to present, obviously there's a difference between someone who just has speech anxiety and someone who did not rehearse, and I promise I can tell. All right, so for grading, as you all have probably noticed, the amount of points that we've gotten in the semester is like very short compared to the total amount of course points, and 120 points are going to come in for the informative speech. So 10 points is going to go to the topic selection assignment, and you can see that on page 95 in the guidebook. The preparation outline is going to be worth 15 points, and then there's more samples on page 103 of the guidebook. Then there are speaking notes, which are on page 105 of the guidebook. And then there is the oral presentation, which is 100 points. And so the rubric is on page 121 for you all to look at. And so this basically means that our informative presentation in total is going to be 120 points, which is going to not decide your grade, but is going to be very heavily influential upon it, as we've probably only gotten to like I'm not good at math, maybe like 70 points so far in the semester. Um, and so important resources for the upcoming days. There's going to be an audience adaptation plan, which is going to be in the forum. It's not going to be worth any points in the informative speech, but it is going to be into your participation as per usual. Preparation outline, the speaking notes, and then everything is going to be uploaded into Turnitin. I don't know how much you are all aware, but we had a huge a huge amount of people who plagiarized on the diversity activity and the relational activity that just happened a couple weeks ago. And I hope that you know that every single assignment goes through Turnitin. And so if you do choose to engage in some behavior that is questionable or that would violate the honor code, please be aware that we are looking out for that, and that we will find out, and it's not fun. No professor likes having to report students to the honor code department. It is not a fun process for me personally. And it also can have very serious repercussions on not only this course, but on your entire like academic record. So please just don't plagiarize. Just don't do it. Don't cheat. And if you guys need more clarification, I would highly recommend checking out the honor code page that Texas State has. They go really into detail about everything. So moving on to the outline format, like I mentioned, there are examples in the guidebook. So the intro will have an intention getter, relevance, credibility, central idea, initial preview, and a transition to the body. I went over these more in detail in the mini lecture on how to complete those and what they should look like. Then there's the 3 points. So you are required to have information and evidence. So there's 2 parts of the rubric. You have to have evidence and then you have to have a citation. And so evidence is just having information to back up your claims, and then having the citation is proving that. And so one thing I emphasize in citations is please do not, because I will not give you full credit if you say this study. What we really want to do is encourage you to learn how to properly cite. I think that's one of the really important things about this assignment. Is so instead of saying this study or this person, is to say their name. Say the article title if you don't know how to pronounce their name, or if there isn't necessarily an author to what you're citing. Just because if you say this article or this person, how do I who is that person? So an important thing to do is make sure that when you cite, like I mentioned, use the author or the title name. Super easy. And that way you can even make sure that you are saying it, because you will remember to say the name or title instead of just saying this study. And I've noticed students kind of have an easier time on their speeches when they develop it in this manner. And so in the conclusion, you'll have a transition, then the final summary, and a memorable closing. So going back to sources, at minimum, you're going to have 3 different sources with 1 source in each point. Obviously, you can have more than 3 sources. That is not like a problem. Having more actually might make your speech better, and it may make you feel more informed and qualified to, speak more about it. And so the sources must be credible. You can't just do like Wikipedia or ask.com. You can use blog posts, but try to make sure that they're try to make sure the information is as credible as it can be. So it is also going to have you cite your sources in two places. So there is going to be on paper in your outline and your speaking notes. And so that's going to be in text and on a references page. And like I said, go back to those sample assignments so that you can look and see how it's supposed to look. And then you will do it aloud in your oral presentation. And I added another little thing right here being like, do not say this study, use the title name or the author's name. And so APA style is what we're going to do. We do not do MLA in comm studies, which is why we are making you do it in APA. So please do it in APA. It's part of the rubric. The guidebook has an example of how to cite anything that you could ever want to cite. I believe it's on page 83 or somewhere in there. You can also check out OWL Purdue on how to do APA. You will need to include a references page on your outline. You don't have to do it for the speaking notes because the speaking notes will have is just a concise version of your outline. And if you can see, here are some examples of what it'll look like to cite using APA style. So there's the name, then it is the year, and then the page number if you have that. Oh, there it is. Cite sources orally. They talk about that on the guidebook in page 92. So delivery, this is where we get more into the speaking notes. So what do you write down? So this is not meant to be your whole speech. It's mainly meant to be a small piece of, usually it's like a page or so, a page document of your concise speech that basically helps you follow along with where you need to be. And like I said, there's examples on page 121. The guidebook does a really, really good job of showing you all different examples of what it could look like, what it should look like. And then the rest is up to creative liberty for you all. And so I hope this has kind of helped in your development of your speech topics. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.